Get the animal calming medicine ready. She's acting strangely. The urgent call swept through the gorilla habitat as Emily Harper, lead zookeeper at Woodland Park Zoo, watched Kira, their oldest female, approach the viewing glass with a strange and focused intensity. What happened next would rewrite everything they believed about these gentle giants. The day had started like any other. Emily, who'd cared for the gorilla troop for 7 years, had been growing uneasy. Something wasn't right with Kira. The normally calm, 30-year-old Western lowland gorilla had grown agitated, constantly clutching her 4-month-old baby, Luma, and pacing near the public window. She didn't eat again. Jake Martinez, Emily's assistant, said, eyes scanning the daily log. 3 days now. Emily frowned. In her 15 years working with apes, she'd never seen behavior like this. Kira had raised 4 babies before. No issues. But with Luma, something was different. She'd sit for hours, staring at her baby, making a soft, whimpering sound the keepers had never heard before. Alan Reed, the zoo's vet, had examined them both. Nothing physical. Just monitor them closely, he'd said. Even experienced moms can get overly anxious. But Emily wasn't buying it. This wasn't anxiety. This was Kira, and Kira never acted without reason. Then came Tuesday. It was quiet. Barely a dozen visitors wandering the gorilla exhibit. One of them was Linda Suarez, a retired nurse who came nearly every day. Staff had nicknamed her Gorilla Grandma. Linda stood in her usual spot, eyes locked on Kira. Something's wrong, she said to Emily, her voice tight. Look at how she's holding the baby. Emily stepped closer. A chill prickled her skin. Kira wasn't cradling Luma to her chest like normal. She was holding the baby outward, just slightly but deliberately, like she was trying to... Oh my God! Emily breathed, grabbing her radio. Get DR. Read here. Now. Kira moved right up to the glass, staring straight at Linda, and what Emily saw in her eyes wasn't aggression. It was something far more human. Desperation. Kira placed her massive hand on the glass, right in front of Linda's face. Then, in a moment captured later on Global News, she did the unthinkable. She lifted Luma to the glass. She tried to give her baby away. Don't move, Emily said, her voice unsteady. Kira let out a low, hooting call, gently nudging Luma toward the window. She was offering her baby to a human. Reed arrived just as Kira began to cry out, deep, aching sounds that filled the enclosure. We need to go in. Now, he said, something's terribly wrong. But before they could move, Kira pulled Luma back, huddling in the corner, shaking, sobbing. Clear the area, Emily ordered. As security ushered the visitors away, Linda didn't move. She stood rooted to the glass, tears running down her face. She's in pain, she whispered. I know that look. She's trying to tell us. A full medical workup gave them the answer. Kira had a tumor, aggressive, hidden deep beneath muscle and fur, missed by earlier scans. And somehow, in her suffering, her maternal instincts had driven her to try the unimaginable, handing over her baby to the same humans she'd watched care for others. The discovery lit a fuse. It shattered assumptions about gorilla intelligence and exposed cracks in the zoo's operations no one had seen coming. As Emily watched the med team prep Kira for treatment, a knot formed in her chest. This wasn't over. It was just the beginning. Get me the last year's supply records, she told Jake. All of them. Something's off. Later, in her office, Emily spread out the papers. Her hands shook. 3 months of inventory logs showed something strange. Jake, look at this, she said. According to the reports, they'd been going through twice the normal amount of sedatives and barely half their usual pain meds. Jake's face paled. This doesn't make sense. Dr. Reed appeared in the doorway, looking like he hadn't slept. Kira's blood results just came back. And, Emily asked, they're wrong. Off the charts. How? She's got traces of experimental compounds in her system. Things we don't stock here. Immune suppressants. Someone's been dosing her with unauthorized meds. That's why the tumor spread so fast. Jake swallowed hard. But who would do that, and why? Just then, a ping. Emily checked her phone. An email from Marcus Graves, the zoo's newly hired research director. Subject: Urgent meeting Gorilla Research Program, He wants us in the lab now, she said. Did you tell him about Kira's blood work? She asked Reed. He shook his head. Came straight here. Emily started recording on her phone. Something's seriously wrong. Jake, make copies of everything. Reed, don't let anyone near Kira until we're back. They found Marcus waiting in the research lab. A smooth smile pasted across his face, but his eyes were empty. Emily, he said, thanks for coming. I heard about Kira. Spoke to the board. We're arranging to transfer her to a different facility for specialized treatment. Transfer her. Emily's voice rose. She needs urgent medical care. Yes, about the tumor, Marcus said, interrupting smoothly. Unfortunate timing, really, but also an extraordinary opportunity. She's now a prime candidate for our research trials. The pieces snapped together in Emily's mind. A grant application. Phrases like accelerated evolution and primate cognition enhancement. You've been experimenting on her? She said, voice trembling with fury. That's what those immune-suppressing compounds are.
Graves, fake smile vanished.
You don't see the bigger picture, he said, calm and cold. If we can push primate intelligence, evolve them faster, the potential is limitless. It's illegal, Jake said, his voice tight, and it's killing her. Nothing revolutionary comes without sacrifice, Graves replied, unmoved. Emily reached into her bag, pulled out a folder thick with documents. I've got copies of every approval form on file, she said. Not one mentions experimental drugs. Graves' expression darkened. The board approved the transfer, he snapped. Kira leaves tomorrow. End of discussion. No, Emily said, stepping forward. I recorded everything you just said, and I've backed up every record, every discrepancy. You're done. In the scuffle that followed, Graves knocked a folder to the floor. It burst open, photos scattering everywhere. Dozens of images. Gorillas in other zoos. Tumors. Infections. The same hollowed look in their eyes. Emily stared, horrified. You've done this before, she whispered. To how many? How many animals have you sacrificed for your research? Then a noise outside, raised voices, flashing lights, an alarm cut through the moment. Emily's stomach dropped. Emergency lights strobed across the zoo's gorilla quarters. She turned on Graves, her voice raw. What did you do to her? Graves didn't hide it anymore. The performance was over. Damage control, he said, his voice as sharp as broken glass. Can't leave evidence behind. By morning, she'll be gone. Put down. Aggressive mother. A tragedy. Emily didn't wait. She bolted. Jake was already running beside her. Behind them, Graves lifted his phone without urgency. Security. 2 employees breaching protocol. Headed toward the enclosure. Terminate access. Now. But what Graves didn't know was that Emily had already sent everything. Every photo, every audio file, to someone who would make noise. Linda Suarez, the retired nurse, the one person who saw what Kira had tried to do that morning, and her brother, a journalist with a powerful platform. As Emily sprinted through the dark zoo, her lungs burning, she clung to one thought. Kira trusted us. We cannot fail her now. The gorilla habitat loomed ahead, bathed in harsh artificial light. Shadows danced across the paths. Portable floodlights buzzed. A group of men in scrubs and masks walked briskly toward the enclosure. Jake pulled up short, breathing hard. They're not ours. I don't know any of them. Call DR. Reed, get back up. Only people we trust. And call the police, Emily said. At the edge of the chaos, Linda was shouting, locked in a heated argument with a guard. I saw it with my own eyes. That animal was trying to communicate. A security officer grabbed her arm roughly. Linda didn't flinch. I've already contacted the press, she snapped. They're en route. You better be ready to explain experimenting on endangered species. Emily's phone buzzed. A message lit the screen. From Linda's brother. Publishing now. Officials alerted. Emily turned to Jake. Keep them distracted. Remember our power outage drill. He grinned. Time to kill the lights. As Jake peeled off toward the backup generator, Emily approached the scene with calm authority. She flashed her ID. I'm the head keeper. What's going on here? One of the fake vets turned to her, holding a syringe. Emergency protocol. Female gorillas a threat. We have orders. The floodlights shut off. Total darkness. Confusion exploded. People shouted. Feet scrambled across gravel. Somewhere inside, Kira let out a deep, booming call, warning, protective. Emily used the chaos. She ducked behind a truck, slid along the enclosure's outer fence, and reached the side entrance. Her key card beeped green. Graves hadn't locked her out, yet inside, the habitat was dark, silent, and thick with tension. Kira was curled in the corner, chest heaving, baby Luma tucked tightly against her. Emily stepped forward slowly, her voice soft. It's okay, girl. I'm here now. I'm going to help you. A flashlight beam cut through the dark. Emily froze. Hands up. Commanding voice. Seattle PD. No one move. DR. Reed stepped into the light behind the officers, relief on his face. I brought help. Emergency lights strobed from outside. Police, reporters, chaos spreading like wildfire. Outside the enclosure, Linda's voice rang out, strong and clear. They've been testing illegal drugs on endangered gorillas. I've got proof. Graves stormed in, face twisted with rage. This is a contained emergency situation. You have no authority here. But no one was listening. The real story had already escaped, and it was about to change everything. Actually, a calm but authoritative voice interrupted. They do. An FBI agent stepped forward, his presence commanding. Nathan Graves, you're under arrest for illegal animal testing, fraud, and multiple violations of the Endangered Species Act. Emily's attention snapped back to Kira, who was now softly whimpering, her large eyes filled with distress. Reed moved toward them, his medical bag at the ready. The real medical team is on the way, he said softly. Emily, can you keep her calm? Kira, always perceptive, looked directly at Emily. Slowly, deliberately, she extended one massive hand, not in a plea to give away her baby, but to gently touch Emily's arm. The gesture was quiet, but powerful. A tender sign of trust. It hit Emily hard, and a tear slipped down her cheek. She hadn't realized until that moment just how deeply the gorilla had come to rely on her. The following hours were a blur of activity. The zoo's official veterinarians arrived, setting up emergency care, and test results confirmed what they feared. The experimental drugs had not only accelerated the tumor growth, but also significantly compromised Kira's immune system. The hope, however, was tangible now. Those substances were no longer in her system, and real healing could begin. As the sun rose, revealing the full extent of the damage, Graves' dark operation crumbled. Investigators uncovered a web of corruption. Graves had partnered with a pharmaceutical company, using endangered animals at multiple zoos as unwitting test subjects, all in the name of research that had violated ethical boundaries and endangered species laws. The story broke across the nation, hitting the news with a thunderous impact. Zoo conspiracy exposed. Endangered gorillas used in illegal experiments. The story went viral. Animal rights groups exploded in outrage, calling for immediate reforms and accountability. Public pressure mounted, forcing the zoo's board to promise full transparency and sweeping changes. 1 week later, Emily stood in front of the glass that separated her from Kira and Luma. The mother gorilla was recovering steadily, her tumor shrinking with proper medical care. The dark chapter was closing, and the executives at the pharmaceutical company, along with Graves, now faced serious charges. She knew, Linda said, her voice quiet beside Emily. That day, when she tried to hand Luma to me, she was asking for help. She knew she was sick. Emily nodded, her heart heavy. The truth was undeniable. Kira had known more than they had realized. The thing is, Emily said, her eyes lingering on Kira's calm face, gorillas are smarter than people give them credit for. She understood something was wrong, and she knew we might be able to help. Jake appeared, tablet in hand, with more good news. Blood works all clean now, no traces of anything experimental. And the board approved a new sanctuary for Kira, the Kira Project. Kira, hearing the familiar voice of Emily, glanced up through the thick glass. She sat serenely, Luma by her side, playing, stronger every day. The bond between them was undeniable, and when Kira reached out her hand toward the glass, this time it wasn't in desperation. It was in friendship. Kira's story sparked a nationwide conversation, one that would forever shift how people viewed animal intelligence and the ethics of scientific research. Documentaries followed. Books were written. Zoos across the country began reevaluating their policies and their treatment of animals. Graves, his associates, and the pharmaceutical company's executives were all sentenced to long prison terms. The company paid millions in fines, with the money redirected to support great ape conservation efforts. But the most profound change came in people's hearts. The public's perception had been irrevocably altered. Kira and Luma thrived together in their new sanctuary, their future now secure. Visitors who knew the story would stand at the viewing glass, amazed by the depth of a mother's love that transcended species. Emily kept the security footage from that pivotal morning, the moment when Kira had tried to pass Luma to Linda. She watched it often, reminded of the courage it took for a mother to ask for help in the only way she knew how. In the end, Kira's story wasn't just one of survival. It was a testament to the profound intelligence and emotion animals possess, a truth humans are still learning to fully understand. Kira had exposed the hidden cruelty of a broken system, but her love for her baby, her instinct to protect, and her silent plea for help changed everything. Did you enjoy this story? Isn't maternal love the most powerful force on Earth, whether from humans or animals? Share your thoughts below. If you enjoyed our story, don't forget to subscribe and hit the like button. A mother's affection recognizes no limits, human or animal. It's the strongest force in nature. Thanks for tuning in. Until next time, have a wonderful day.